Hi, and welcome to edition 2 of the Get Hitched live wedding chat show. Today we have a very special guest for session 2. After yesterday's session with Chris X from Chris X Weddings and Events, it was a great session. Lots of insight from him and lots of information that even to us was quite of a shocker, to be honest. So we're interested to continue having these discussions to see what else is going to come out and further insight from people. With us today is my partner in crime, Jonathan, who I'll be adding in the stream just now, and also Mauro Gasan from Petite Events and I Do Not Malta. So I'm just going to put him in the stream.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi everyone. Hi.
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
I'm
Good.
doing great, thank you. Just had some lunch, so fueled up.
Awesome.
You guys?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm working on some interesting stuff and excited to get this show on the road.
Good.
Cool.
Same here. I mean, we're trying to keep positive amidst the situation. So
Correct. Good.
Cool. So, Mauro, people, I would be great if you could tell people a bit about I Do Not and also about Petite Events,
sure.
just for the audience. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So as Ben said, my name is Mauro, and today I'm wearing actually two hats. The hat of Petite Events, which is a destination management company, which means that we assist international companies, both corporates and also event companies, that choose Malta as a destination to hold an event, being a meeting, being an incentive, a conference, or an exhibition. On the other hand, also tied to a foreign audience, I'm also representing and wearing the hat of I Do Not, which is a destination wedding planner. Okay, meaning that we assist exclusively foreign couples who choose Malta as the destination for their big day.
Okay, great. And you
Fantastic.
also the I Do Not is both are targeted for the foreign market coming inbound, basically more, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And
Mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, which means that at present, I mean, I'm sitting at my office, but it's empty. There is only me, who came in to give this interview. But other
Okay.
than that, we have closed our offices on the 13th of March. And really and truly, if you ask me a way forward, I don't know how to reply.
Yeah, in fact, that was the first question. So, essentially, like local weddings and foreign weddings, you mostly focus on the foreign weddings, right? Not the
Exactly.
Maltese weddings.
Exactly. So yeah, what is happening at the moment? Obviously enough, there was already a sort of an alarm which started ringing beginning of February, when the first cases started emerging. However, I mean, I believe that being isolated and living on an island, for once, it brings its advantages. So we sort of didn't pay too much attention to it. However, then when it started getting serious in the first week of March, then yes, then the orange sort of light went on, and we started being very vigilant in our expenditures and what we do, and go so on and so forth. Um, what is what has happened between the 13th of March and, let's say, a week ago, because there has been two waves. Okay, the first wave between the 13th of March and a week ago means that all the events that we had in March, April, May, June September, October, okay, of 2020. However, this year, this week, and also last week, the events that we pushed into and October of 2020, now they are even being pushed for 2021. Which means that, if I have to be honest, I don't think that between now and end of year we will have any sort of business whatsoever.
Yes, this seems to be a very common sentiment, especially when it comes to events and weddings, that there is so much uncertainty this year that it's most people are trying to postpone it or are advising to postpone it until the beginning of next year as possible. Now, in your case, since you mostly deal with foreign events and foreigners coming to Malta to have their weddings here, I think that would be an even um, more accurate assumption, if you will, that this is the way forward for your business. However, are you considering any changes or adaptations? Maybe you start taking on board local weddings, for instance, or anything that you're thinking about doing differently going forward now that this happened?
I mean, it's not a question of, we're not a restaurant and we say, okay, instead of serving the clients inside the restaurant, let's sort of introduce the takeaway. Our situation is completely different, meaning that if between now and let's say August, September, the authorities don't actually permit that any big social gatherings takes place, it's useless spending money in marketing and doing whatever it entails, because doing weddings for foreigners, it's a completely different game from doing weddings for the locals. It's not just the okay, you say, okay, I do weddings for the foreigners, then I might as well do it for the locals as well. Our internal structure and also our business strategy is mainly focused on dealing with a foreign audience. So the game is completely different, completely different. Then again, if I have to be honest, I don't see anything major happening between now and let's say September, October. Okay, so is it worth it investing and changing this strategy just for the shoulder months of November up to March? That's also from a business perspective. We are really hoping that from April 2021 we come back to normality when it comes to business action. Okay, I hope that the daily life comes back normal way before. I'm really hoping that by let's say the beginning of summer, we will start living the normal life again. However, when it comes to a foreign audience, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. First of all, they need to catch a plane. Okay. Now, if there is a player within our industry that really needs to convince people that it is safe of using their services, is actually airlines. The
Correct.
respiration system within the aircraft, airports, and people need to find also trust into these kind of services. The second thing is also traveling to another country and being part of a bigger group that you don't know about. Okay, that you don't know, the hotels, being besides a pool, being into an event, being into a wedding, surrounded by people that you really don't know and they are not close relatives to you. The third important factor is also that millions of people are actually losing their jobs back home. So going on a holiday, attending a family wedding is not actually their priority as at now, because they don't have the income and the funds to actually permit a family holiday when they actually don't have a steady income or no income at all.
Hmm.
And that is from the wedding side. Okay, from the business, we deal with big corporates, okay, with insurance companies, car manufacturers. These people, they have closed their factories, they have closed their manufacturing lines, they had to fire people, they're losing millions on a daily basis. So if there is a cost cutting exercise, which they will be doing, obviously enough, the first post that they will remove is the trips to their staff, their trips to their clients. So it's very difficult to say what will happen. What I can tell you is that we are aiming as to April 2021 as to when actually we start getting business and receiving the first weddings and the first events, corporate events back again.
So is it safe to say that with weddings, so your foreign clients getting married in Malta that were planned up until before April 2021, you are advising them to reschedule for April onwards?
Yes. Well, we have a couple who have actually rescheduled for end of October, beginning of November.
This year,
Um, Sorry. Yes.
for this
Yes.
year.
Yes. 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 The vast majority they have repostponed for the same date or plus or minus the same date
Hmm.
and the next year. Um, if I have to be honest, pushing it for next year, it's more sort of reassuring
Hmm.
from us and also from them, from their side, that we will not need to postpone once again, because although they have postponed for September, October of this year, which is 5 months, 6 months down the line, personally, I think there is still a big question mark on
Risk, yeah.
whether we will be able to do it or not.
To touch on one point that you mentioned earlier, and it's about getting back to normal. And you mentioned certain things that we usually take for granted, such as being in hotels, being with pools, with strangers, and so on. So, from your experience or from your assumptions, do you think that this will change how events will happen, and do you predict that this will take time for them to go back to normal and being comfortable in front of strangers or in large groups and so on,
I mean,
especially from different cities or countries?
I think this COVID-19, Jonathan, it will not only affect the way events and weddings will take place. I think it will affect the way we will start living on a daily basis. And I think before the actual vaccination comes into production and starts being distributed and people being vaccinated, I don't think we will actually come back to a full normality. Um, Petite Events, it forms part of FATA, which is the Federated Association of Travel and Tourism Agents, and we meet on online platforms from very frequently to discuss what everyone is experiencing. And our predictions is that our industry will not come to back to full normality before 18 to 24 months. So we are envisaging that to be back to our figures when it comes to number of clients that we handle, number of weddings that we handle on a yearly basis. I think we are 1 year and a half, 2 years far from that date.
Yes, in fact, as you know, we have another platform apart from Get Hitched, which is evently.com.mt, where we deal with events, both local and corporate, so MICE events as well. And we've read a few articles, reports, and studies that um, agree with what you're saying, that it will take at least 18 months to rebound. So you have between 1 year and 2 years to start building those steps to get back to normal. Because even though in Malta we are kind of in a bubble and we are relatively safe and debts have been lower and it's been very manageable, tourism is affected by what's around you, right? It's not just what we are doing here for ourselves within our small island. But if we're hearing that Italy will close their airports, and will the UK or another country up till the end of year or March, for instance. So that's going to have a huge impact on the events industry and also on the tourism industry in general.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I think 2 days ago, the British government actually gave reference to the fact that pubs, for example, will not open up, I mean, before a week before Christmas, for example.
Wow.
Um, uh, Today in Holland and in Germany, child centers opened again, but on a very low count. On a local perspective, I started by saying that in Malta we're not living the same situation which the rest of Europe is actually experiencing. And I think being isolated and being far from the old continent, I think for once brings its own advantages. And these we are actually experiencing by the 12:30 update on a daily basis by Professor Charmaine. The low counts that we are experiencing from one side and the high counts that people are recovering on the other side, which is very, very um, positive for us, for one simple reason that hopefully Malta will actually be one of the first countries that will reopen for tourism. In fact, from an international study that has been done, they are foreseeing that Malta and Cyprus will be the first two countries to reopen tourism. On the other hand, one has to also factor in that couples that were actually planning to go to get married in countries which have been more touched by the coronavirus than us, for example, the States, um, uh, like for example, Africa, South Africa, due to the bad situation in the States and also due to the poor health system that there is in Africa, they will take longer to actually come back on their feet. So I think we will see a shift of business from these countries to Malta, due to the fact that Malta will reopen before any other country around Europe, which is within 3 flying hours from all the capitals, which is safe, health facilities that are excellent, and also there is the sun and the sea. So I think this fact that in Malta we are experiencing a very high quality of health services, it will compensate very soon to the loss of business because there will be a shift of businesses, shift of business from other countries to Malta.
It's
But
nice to hear about some upside that of everything that's going on and how it is being handled.
but when you say that like Malta would be the first and Cyprus would be the first to open for tourism, but if then on the other side that the ports and the airports are still closed, what tourism will come to Malta?
I think, Ben, I don't think that actually they will keep the airports closed for any type of traveling. We've been what 5 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. As at
Yeah.
today, already three major airlines they have actually closed their doors. You know,
Hmm.
governments can't keep on having people redundant people on their on their doorstep because of redundancies. I'm not saying that they should actually risk the people's life just to pay less benefits. However, I think there will be a point where the governments and the authorities they have to open their doors again for business and any essential travels. So I think I mean I am hoping that the Malta airport will be open by, let's say, August. Okay, and I'm also hoping that the others will follow. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, this is only an assumption, and maybe me trying to keep positive and having sort of a deadline by which we will start this office
Yeah.
buzzing with activity again.
For sure.
The other question mark though is that if although Malta might, let's say Malta, because even like yesterday in our conversation we heard like even though Malta might be open though, if there are certain hot countries where Malta receives business from, Italy, I don't know, Italy, Spain, UK, Ireland, etc. If they don't allow travel, then you kind of, it takes two to tango.
Yeah,
So,
of course, yeah, yeah.
I think, and this is just an assumption, the first step is to start relaxing some of the initiatives. So we open locally, start opening restaurants, start going out slowly and slowly, and see if there is a second wave that will come out of it. So that will be the first test, internal test of how well this is going. And depending on those results and results of similar countries, I think that then will be the decision maker of whether they start opening. And also, something to keep in mind is there are a lot of labs, foreign labs, that are working really hard on vaccine, trying to get to human trials. I heard that Germany are going to start human trials very soon, and also the testing, because that makes a big difference. Testing and screening, the faster we can make testing and screener. If you can be screened in an airport within 10 seconds or 30 seconds, and you can have over 90% accuracy rate that this person does not have the virus, I think that will make a huge difference and a huge impact to the decision making of whether we open airports to other countries.
In fact, John, if I can take just a couple of words from what you have just said, Emirates announced already last week that they will be testing everyone before the flight, and the results will come in within 10 minutes. Okay,
Amazing.
so airlines, they're already moving because they know that they are the key player in having people traveling again. So I mean, without airlines, we're nothing.
For sure, and our airline is suffering as well. So it's quite a unique situation, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Indeed.
okay, so we kind of touched quite a lot about what the kind of forecast is going to be for Malta, for tourism, for events in general, weddings, etc. Um, Again, we have to wait and see what is going to happen. But it does look like this is going to be for the long haul. Um, the positive side of it is that Malta, in terms of cases as well as deaths and all this, is quite minimal. Hopefully, things continue to get better. I wanted to switch a bit the discussion, Mauro, on you personally. Like, what has been what has been this most challenging experience so far for you, given the situation?
I mean, the most challenging experience so far. I mean, I can split it into internally and also externally. Internally, I mean, the biggest challenge, which maybe so far it hasn't been challenging, but it will become a challenge if the situation persists for much longer, is actually to keep all the stuff on the payroll. I mean, if
Hmm.
my company will not have €1 of income between now and April, but I am still expected to actually pay my my employees, that will become a challenge. Having
Yeah.
said that, I always, and this I have already communicated to my staff, that they've stuck with me in the good times. So obviously enough, it's my duty to bleed it out and keep them, because obviously enough, hopefully sooner than soon, we will start um, being busy again. And obviously enough, instead of finding new and recruiting new people, I have already my staff which
Hmm.
know exactly how things go. They are already trained the way we want them. So our rehabilitation and our also integration within the new that we will work,
We
it will become different from what we have been experiencing. It will be much faster. Okay. Um, the other external challenge that we have been experiencing and we are still experiencing is to actually convince our clients, both from a wedding perspective and also from a corporate
Mm-hmm.
sphere, is actually not to cancel but to postpone.
Right.
The work has been done. Our clients, both from weddings and also from corporates, they do what we call site inspections, meaning that they come 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 1 year before the event, and they actually inspect the venues, they inspect our infrastructures, the hotel, they do tastings. We get them to meet our suppliers, our key vendors, and all this work has been done, all of it. So obviously enough, experiencing um, uh, shifting, it will not actually, it will incur less expenses because they have been here, they have already paid the expenses all related to site inspections. All the work has been done with
Mm-hmm.
regards to the destination and or to the events. It's just literally to grab the file and allocate it on a new date. Whilst if they cancel and they have to start to look for a new destination for 2021 or for later on this year, I mean, they have to start working from scratch. So
Yes.
that those have been our internal and also external challenges. The internal one, obviously enough, it's being helped. I mean, the government with the second injection of the weight supplement, it has gave us a lift and a big help. Um, and on the external factor, the trust that we have built in our clients, they said, listen, we want to this
Mm-hmm.
event to take place in Malta. So yes, we are ready to move the event for later on this year or for 2021.
So that's your experience that most clients from weddings as well as the corporate have been willing to postpone, or what was the kind of the ratio of cancellations versus postponement in your case?
We over here we handle about 55 to 70 events per year,
Mm-hmm.
which is almost one a week.
Okay.
So far as of today, only two have cancelled. Only
Wow.
two.
Okay. That's
Okay.
great.
Good.
The rest have postponed for next year. So.
Okay.
Yes. In regards to the stuff, of course, I think that is the most overarching issue with any business owner, and it's about how you get to keep your business alive and also keep the team and as much as the team as possible, because it's not easy to find good people, and it's even harder to train them and keep them motivated. So the fact that you're working hard and thinking about the best ways how to keep your team, it just shows what kind of business you're trying to run, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, John, and also you have to take also into consideration that over here it's not a production line, okay? It's not like, stuff is passing in front of you and you do the same job. Over here, every single day you come through that door and you don't know what you're going to find, okay? So the learning curve, this means that the learning curve to actually have your employees fully dependent and they are actually autonomous in their work, it's the wave, okay, it's actually the learning curve, it's actually very long. We're talking about a year and a half, even more, okay? So if you actually dismiss someone who has been with you for a year or year and a half, you've lost your investment. If you
Mm-hmm.
dismiss someone who has been actually on your books for 2 years or two and a half, it means that only now you are actually seeing the fruit of your investment. So we really need to see the long term, on a long term basis of this of our
Yes,
employees. So
for sure. That's super important, and not just the employees, but the vision in general. And that's the issue with what happened with COVID is the uncertainty. Like you can't have a very prolonged vision, but we need to find ways to not just survive, but to adapt and thrive towards this. And regarding this events and postpone and the fact that you only had two so far, I think that's pretty amazing, and it's a testament to how people feel working with you. And as our guest yesterday mentioned, which was very eloquent way of putting it, it's just hitting the pause button, especially if the legwork was already done. If there's already work done, they've came here, they've done the testing, they like the suppliers that they're working with. Unless it's not possible for financial reasons, for now, just pause it. Just pause it, and we'll get back to it as things will start gradually come back to normal.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. So going into our last kind of 10 minutes here, I was wondering what is the best thing for you, Mauro, and for your business that maybe on a personal level and on a business level that came out of the situation, if there are any positives at this point.
Well, on a personal basis, I mean, I'm spending more time with my kids, and I think after 3 months, I would have done all the necessary works at my home, so I will not have to touch a paintbrush or something else for the next years. That's on a personal level. On a business level, first of all, something which I honestly experience is the closeliness and of my staff. Okay, over here we are 7 full timers. Okay, so we're not for the event industry on a local basis. 7 full timers on events. It's not a joke, and they immediately understood the situation, and they are very much collaborating with me, because we're still very active. I mean, I don't want that people imagine that we wake up in the morning and we're actually doing nothing. I am still obliged to spend between 3 to 5 hours on a daily basis on my emails, because emails are still coming in, requests are still coming in, postponements, maybe a couple of refunds. So we also, it's something that we had been already working on for the past couple of months, but we're actually rebranding both companies. So we're actually taking the time, the necessary time to work on the new visuals, on the new websites, on the new content. So we are actually using this time, which normally I have behind me. I have a photo of one of the weddings that we did. If I had to show you the calendar, the whole calendar of events that we had planned, that we had for April, May, June, we were actually thinking of not going home for 2.5 months, because we were foreseeing one of the best years ever, 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 for multiple reasons. Because 2020 is more exotic, it sounds nicer to the year. So we had a lot of events planned for this year, but we're using that time to come out stronger than we were. We are finding a lot of help from the Malta Tourism Authority and also from Conventions Malta, so that when they tell us, okay, go, now you can go out again, put the name of Malta back onto the
Hmm.
map, we will be ready. We will be having the staff which is already trained. We will have also the financial backing from the authorities. That obviously enough, it will put us in a better place, in a better position vis-a-vis our competing countries, and also it will make the island buzz of activity sooner than later.
Yeah.
Yes, you go hand in hand with the image of Malta, especially when you're dealing with foreign weddings and foreign events. A big part of what you do is not just setting the events in Malta, but promoting Malta as an island, as a destination island in general. So they are both very, very much important and going hand in hand. So it's nice to see that they have given you a good backing as DMCs and as event organizers, um, because it is one unit.
In fact, John, I mean, we travel a lot. We travel on tourism fairs. We do road shows. We do what we call sales calls, meaning that we go into the offices of corporates, event organizers, professional conference organizers, wedding planners, and we go to their offices, being in Brussels, in Paris, in London, in Dublin. And what we actually do is we sell the name of Malta before anything else. We need to convince them that our destination is the destination for their event. It's the ideal situation. We might be small, but you'll actually be very surprised when you are competing with other countries, the advantages that Malta has for our industry. And that's what
Yeah,
we do.
in fact, I was quite curious about that, and I always had this question, and I never asked it. But like with the global economy, is becoming more and more competitive. Like, let's think about like Malta, where we say Malta, we have the tourism because we have the nice weather, we have the beaches, we have the temples, and all this, for example, and it's easy to commute, and we've got the language. But apart from these things, where does Malta fall in the competitive map, if you will, compared with Ibiza, compared with the Greek islands, compared with Cyprus? These places have nice weather, they have the beach, So how does Malta start in the eyes of these people, where in the global market? How does Malta compete, and what is our edge?
Sure. First of all, it's connectivity. Okay.
Okay.
Malta, it's one of the most connected islands in the world. And besides being very, very well connected, it is centrally located, meaning that from all the major capitals in Europe, you are not you are within a 3 hour time frame. Okay,
Hmm.
so that's the first thing. Secondly, the local infrastructure. Okay, the quality of the five-star hotels, the quality of the restaurants, and all that goes around tourism. Thirdly, is the certainty of our climate.
Okay.
We have a long summer, a longer season. So compared to other countries, we might not be able to organize a nice gala dinner or a nice wedding in March outside. But if it's a morning wedding, yes, we can risk it because the weather is still very nice and we can have a very hot day. Fourth, it's security. When it
Okay.
comes to going out, um, uh, security, the general feeling of being in a public place. One of the important factors when we sell Malta is actually that there is such a big variety of venues in Malta which
Right.
are not normal. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
not talking to the ready-made
Okay.
venues. Okay, find me a country where the people, they are all booked in a hotel. They can leave on a boat, have an aperitif. They arrive in Valletta, they walk up to the lower Baraka Gardens, they have the
Yeah.
ceremony, and then they have the dinner
Okay.
over there. So or even on a conference perspective, there are so many venues that abroad they are unthinkable. Like
So it's the heritage and the culture as well that plays a big part. Like for weddings. So the question is split into two. For weddings, would if we see like to get Hitched, 25% of our audience is Irish and English.
yeah,
Would you say that is related to
the language.
the heritage of Malta being part of the British colony? And in terms of corporate, would you say is it because of the rich cultural heritage, like you said, the Upper Baraka Gardens, all this? Is that plays a big part, you'd say?
Yeah, and when it comes to wedding, the language plays a very important role. for the simple reason that Malta, vis-a-vis our competitors, it is one of the, if not the only country, which English is a recognized and official language as much as our Maltese language. Meaning that when it comes to paperwork, everything can be done in English. Also, when it
Interesting.
comes to the actual ceremony, it can be done in English and it's recognized, and you don't need any translators. Okay, whilst if you go in Spain, in Portugal, or in Greece, they are done in their maternal language, and you will need a translator, sorry, that will translate live the ceremony. And also the paperwork, it has to be submitted. All the forms are into their mother language, so you will need to incur extra expenses when it comes to documentation. So all these are advantages that obviously enough they are small boxes. I mean, we're not talking about big big advantages, but there are a lot of small boxes that when you tick them all, obviously enough, the package is much more attractive.
Yeah, but it's very interesting. Like we've been in this wedding industry for 2.5 years now, and I didn't know that countries such as Cyprus, I believe you mentioned, or Greece, you need a translator, and everything is done through a translator, and even the forms are in their language. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that is something that we take for granted. And even like for the video of the ceremony, if you need to hear someone say it in a particular language and then you need to hear the translator, it's a bit odd. So
Yeah, it changes the fluidity.
Yeah,
It works
correct.
on the fluidity of the ceremony.
Very interesting. Thank you for that.
Okay. Thanks for that, Mauro. Just going into our last few questions here. So again, for the wedding couples, and coming from your expert advice, what is the best advice you'd give to couples, irrespective of the current situation, if they're getting married this month, next month, end of the year, next year? What would you say to couples?
Well, if they are getting married this year, and they are still in a position to actually switch to next year, I would actually recommend, because they will sleep better. Because between now and September, no one knows what's going to happen. For Christ's sake, we don't know what's happening between now and April next year. But I think the possibility of actually coming back to normality within 1 year, it's much higher than within 3, 4 to 5 months. Even suppliers, they don't know what's going to happen. So if they are still on time, I really recommend to switch for next year. It gives much more certainty and peace of mind to everyone, both from the couple side, that they would not have to postpone again, and also from the supplier side, that he will be actually in a position to deliver the services.
And this is very genuine advice, I would say, because it would be in your interest as a wedding planner, as a supplier, to get in the weddings this year, because it will mean you're going to realize more revenue. But it's
No, not revenue, but it will help. It will help definitely the liquidity, the cash liquidity of
sure.
the company, because as I said earlier, between now and March next year, I think my company will not have €1 of income, whilst I have still to fork out the general expenses of running a company.
Yeah, yeah.
VAT on past events, the rental of the office, upkeeping of website domains, payroll. These are all things that need to still be paid, relative if you have an income or not. So having events this year, it will help and definitely be of a benefit to the cash liquidity of everyone, not just my company, but also to the chain
For
of
sure.
suppliers that follow.
Yes.
Take into consideration that on average, on an event, we involve between 15 to 25 suppliers. Okay, so there's a big chain of suppliers that follow our events.
Okay. All right. And so the advice to the couples is clear. Is there any advice you would extend from maybe what you're going through and what you've done to wedding suppliers and many suppliers in the wedding industry as well as businesses in general? Maybe a word of advice or word of reassurance to them.
Well, I mean, the only thing that I can actually say, because we're living a very time of uncertainty, is that we will definitely come stronger than we are presently. So what I also ask is actually to postpone with the same supplier, to postpone with the same event planner, with the same photographer, and try to find an agreement. I'm sure that everyone is understanding the situation. Everyone is saying, okay, they're postponing, they're keeping their deposits, and switching it to the new date. So, let's stay focused together. Let's keep a good tie together, because obviously enough, if everyone starts going in his own way, we are not going to make ends meet. So yeah, that's my only advice, because really and truly, um, uh, given the situation, we can only see up until this evening. I can't even speak about tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Here we talk a lot about the change of time. It's like 1 week of regular time is like 2 month. 1 week of COVID time is like 2 months of
indeed,
regular time when we're
exactly.
planning anything. So things are just changing so rapidly, while life is kind of slowing down at the same time, which is very strange.
Yeah, up until 5 weeks ago, we had up until September, October planned.
Yeah.
I'm not saying month by month, I'm saying day by day. We
Wow.
literally, there were days where we knew that in the morning I had to be there, in the afternoon I had to go there, because we had concurrently events happening at the same time. I mean, nowadays, I don't know what I'm going to do, not even tonight or tomorrow morning. So it's quite, yeah, it's a reality check as well, because it- people like me who live and work in the event industry, and I've been doing so for the past 20 years. We are dependent on our clients. We can't plan. Our life, our holidays, our time with our family, everything depends
We lost you there a
given
bit.
Yeah, we lost you a
We
bit.
lost you there a bit.
complete situation.
Mauro?
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, you just
Yeah.
broke off a bit.
When you were talking about
Okay.
how you plan your holidays.
Yeah, I mean, the time frame of our life is actually planned by our clients, because we go abroad on holidays or on weekends by the free weekends that are actually left free by our clients. So, but now we have the luxury of actually doing whatever we want, but confined within our houses.
Yes.
Okay. So we have come. We are over time actually. Again, the time passed very fast. So we will have to close here. I don't know if you have any final remarks, Mauro, that you'd like to share with the audience at this point.
Just three words: postpone and not cancel.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I have to say to everyone in general.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
I'm going to be ending the stream here. I'm just going to be removing you. So I'll wave goodbye and I'll just make an end to the show. Thanks
Bye.
for your time.
bye.
Thank you. Thank
No.
you.
Thanks, Mauro. Thanks, John.
Bye.
So there you have it, episode 2 of the wedding live chat show by Get Hitched. Thank you again to Mauro. Very good advice. I guess what he ended with is postpone, don't cancel. It looks like the best advice for everyone at this point would be to postpone to your wedding to next year, just for the safety and the reassurance of everyone, and even for your peace of mind. Um, Thank you for the great discussion. Thank you for all the hundreds of viewers that have been on the video live. We're excited about that. We didn't think that it would pick up so much. Stay tuned for tomorrow. We will be having a session on our sister brand, similar session live on Evently. With Kenneth Tard, we'll be talking about mindfulness and mindset. So that's going to be happening at 2:30. If you like what you're, we had a great response yesterday. We had over 2,500 views, lots of shares, and was even picked up by some media outlets. If you like what you're seeing and it's of use to you, to your, I don't know, to your family or friends, please like the video, share the video, and if you'd like to be on the show, just give us a shout. We're here to discuss anything related to weddings, to events, to the current situation. If you have anything of value to say, we'd love to hear it. Thank you and have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Cheers.